All right. Hello, everyone. See that we have one visitor at the moment, which is great. I'm hoping we'll get some more coming in. Thank you for joining our session today. You know, it's a long day, a lot of fairs and things like that. So we hope the information we present you today not only is going to be enjoyable for you to listen to, but also help for you in the college admissions process. My name is Ana Luisa Teodoro. I'm the International Recruitment Specialist at St. Francis College, and I will pass it off to my colleagues as well.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Oh, you're good. I was having trouble unmuting my mic. Yes, hello, everyone. It's great to be here. My name is Jennifer. I am one of the admission counselors at Trinity Western University up in beautiful British Columbia, Canada.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Lisa Seeley, and I'm the Director of Global Education at East Texas Baptist University in the great state of Texas. And we welcome you here. Today, we're going to talk about preparing to study in the U.S., choosing the right school for you, financing your education, and then we'll each talk about our campuses. So let me go ahead and share the screen so you can see our presentation. Okay. Okay. We're going to start off with Jennifer.
All right, excellent. So something that's really important when you're looking into continuing your education outside of your home country is preparing to travel and understanding some of the nuances that are required before you get ready to go. And so whether you are an undergraduate student who is just out of high school and looking to gain your bachelor's, or perhaps you've done more education in your home country and you are looking for graduate studies outside of your home country, there are many similarities to both. And what I always like to say to students is know before you go. Really do your research. It's very important. And just taking a look at these two lists that have been created, it's really important determining if you are going to be working with a sponsor or an agent. Many students decide to work with somebody to help them with the process of studying overseas. So it's important to find someone who understands what it is that you are looking for in a university and college, and making sure that you're working with the right people. Of course, in our world today, with COVID-19 and things changing daily, it seems, it's important to understand the guidelines and the restrictions of the country that you're looking to go into. And so things are different. Even between the United States and Canada, there are different protocols. So it's very important to really research that, reach out, ask questions. And I know that certainly for Trinity Western, and I think I can say that for my colleagues as well, that contacting the university that you are interested in studying and asking them specifically about their COVID-19 protocols, very important. And we are more than welcome, or we more than welcome the questions, and would love to help you through that. Again, researching the different programs that the universities have available to you, and understanding what is required for admissions into that, and what you will need in order to, what's going to happen when you arrive in the country, and knowing what's the protocol there. Will you be living on campus? Will you be required to find your own residence for a few days before finding your way to the university? These are all seemingly, you know, small details, but actually very, very important. And these are things that we as counselors, again, are more than happy to support you with. And even if we are not the ones specifically who are working with students in those areas, we know who to connect you with. And so that's really important. You also want to make sure that you want to take a look at not just the college or university that you're looking at, but also the area of the world that you're looking to study in. What are you hoping for on the outside of your travel? What part of the world are you interested in seeing? Because each of our universities and colleges have such a unique and diverse area to go visit. Like even when I think about the three of us here, you're going to come to the west coast of Canada, you'd better be prepared for rain because it rains an awful lot where we are. If you're going to go see Anna out on the east coast, prepare yourself for winter. You've got the most beautiful falls and you've got some exquisite places down there. You need to prepare yourself for a warm winter. And if you're going to go see Lisa down south, you're going to need to know what it's really like to experience wide open spaces and what a small community really looks like. And each of them have so much to offer. So really it's about finding out, see if you can get a virtual visit in and find out about the area, not just about the university, and ask questions. That's really, really important. So I think, Lisa, if we move on to, unless you ladies have anything you want to add with travel, it's okay? Okay.
One small thing for travel, especially with COVID, make sure that you plan your travel restrictions accordingly with your university. Ask your counselors anytime you have a question, truly ask them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, something that's really important, I know, especially about this fair, speaking about faith-based education, especially faith-based higher education, something that's really, really fundamental is that faith-based instructors really, they're not just invested in your academic success and your personal growth, but it's also rooted in serving the whole community and your well-being. And what's really important to understand is that attending a faith-based post-secondary institution does not mean that you yourself have to be very heavily invested in that faith. You may be of a different faith altogether, or you may not have a specific faith at all. And I know that the diversity that brings to the classroom and the ability to share and discuss issues in a safe environment, bringing different perspectives, is certainly something that the professors welcome. It really just brings a depth to your learning and your understanding. That being said, we do want to make sure that you are the right fit for the university and the university is a right fit for you. So if you really struggle with being open to discuss faith-based issues, and it's going to cause you great anxiety every time you walk into class, maybe that's not the best place for you to be. So while you don't need to have that same faith or a strong faith, being open to having safe discussions around those issues, I think is really important. Also, the ability to network and having opportunity to discuss these values. These relationships that are built really go beyond just graduation, and you really have this ability to connect with others, and you really can grow within your own values because it is an accepting institution. So really, this faith-based education, our goal is really to ask, what impact will you have on the world? Really, the world needs teachers who can work with a student, who's being bullied and help them discover the hope and the hope that they have in Christ. And the world needs nurses who can work with critically ill patients and their families and really understand compassion and Christ's compassion. The world needs business people who can face ethical dilemmas in a way that demonstrates Christ's truth and deep values. So really you need more than practical skills and head knowledge to tackle the challenges that you're going to face in a way that demonstrates Christ's hope, compassion, and truth. And that's really what can be found in a faith-based institution. And I know, having looked at the websites of my colleagues, and certainly for Trinity Western, there are opportunities at our campuses to take part in discipleship, chapels, finding godly mentors among colleagues, among staff, faculty, and lifelong friends who really can help you discern what a successful and fulfilling life looks like for you. So there are plenty of opportunities to live out what you learn by serving in service opportunities within the colleges and universities, as well as opportunities in the community around the universities and colleges. So it really just brings a deeper meaning beyond just gaining the skills and your education.
And talking about studying in the United States. So in order to come study specifically for the US, I know we do have a university here in Canada. So we're going to take Canada out of the equation. This is primarily for schools that are within the United States. So in order for you to come into country, these are for all students who do not have US citizenship. Very important to note. In order to enter the United States, you do have to obtain an F1 student visa unless you are a dual citizen that has United States citizenship. What is an F1 student visa? A piece of paperwork that you're provided with from your embassy that's essentially stamped on your passport, additional documents and paperwork that allows you to enter to come study. The primary purpose, and we'll get into this a little bit more, but the primary purpose of a student visa is to study, not to work. And we'll get into those details on why that distinction is very important. In order to obtain an F1 student visa, you do require an I-20, fancy word, just as a piece of paperwork that shows the US government that says, look, I promise I can afford to live here in this specific state. Will you let me come study? That is what an I-20 is. And essentially your DSO, which is the designated school official, or your admissions counselor will walk you through that process of how to complete an I-20 and what is the proof of funds. The biggest thing on the I-20 to obtain a student visa is showing total cost of attendance. What that means is that you show through a series of paperwork that include bank statements, student information sheet, and usually housing sponsor forms if you're living with somebody in the States and you're not supplying your own housing or housing through the school. It's all additional paperwork that all essentially says, hi, I can afford to live in the States, I've been accepted into the school, and I promise to come to the school to study. Very, very important distinction is that no one is ever required to pay an I-20. The total cost of attendance that you do prove there is not your tuition. It's just showing all the different factors that include room and board, tuition, personal expenses, transportation, etc. That'll what it's like for you to live in your particular state. Each state in the United States has their different total cost of attendance. So the total cost of attendance in New York will be different to that of Texas because costs of living in each areas are different. And like I said, another additional cost that you do have to keep in mind while you do not pay the school the I-20, these are some things to keep in mind as you're considering schools. You will have to pay for tuition, student fees, housing, whether it's on or off campus, if you try to do a meal plan on campus or off, books, travel, international student health insurance, and your own personal expenses. There's some money that you have to put down in order to know how you're going to live in your particular state. So just keep this in mind. I like to tell international students, while jobs will be available for you on campus, and we'll talk about what work looks like, it is a little bit unreasonable to expect that you will be able to come to your school within the States, obtain a job within the first week, and pay your tuition and pay your life with that on-campus job. If that's what you think is going to happen, fortunately, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. It's not going to work that way. So when we think of finances, talk to your counselors. We like to be able to present you with realistic options to make this possible. Is it hard? Yes, I like to make things realistic. But is it impossible? Absolutely not. Additionally, Tuitions cost based on institution, not necessarily on major. And what we mean by that is that a bachelor's degree is a bachelor's degree. Used typically 4 years, and students finish a little bit earlier or later, and if the tuition, that doesn't necessarily matter. Again, this is based institution to institution, but overwhelmingly so, your tuition cost is based on the school, not the major itself, if you're in an undergraduate program. Graduate programs usually go by credit, and those can vary a little bit just depending on your program. How do we figure this out? Ask us. Ask your admissions team, what are some costs that I'm going to be having coming up? What are some things that I should keep in mind of? How should I budget this? And also ask if there's any fee waivers. Some schools do have waivers for applications, some do not. There's different dates and deadlines, but those are some things to keep in mind. Jen and Lisa, do you have anything you want to add on to this?
Oh, you did a good job.
All right, let's go to the next slide.
Let me find my buttons. There we go.
So, international students in the United States. Some very specific factors to consider. When we think of scholarship, and this is all going to be about scholarship and what are you eligible for, scholarships aren't the same across the board, which is a good thing for all of you because that means that you have options. Your biggest, I want to say, tool in your toolbox or toolkit is the fact that you have options and you have resources to look into. So first things first, are you an undergraduate or a graduate student? Depending on this factor, if you're going for a bachelor's degree education or a master's degree or a PhD education, you have different scholarships that you are eligible for. Things aren't seen across the board. Typically, there tends to be more internal scholarshiping, and what we mean by that is scholarship based from the institution itself, given to undergraduate students. And then graduate students usually have more funding externally. What we mean by that is through public or private grants, different research institutions. If you're going to be partnering with a professor or something like that, and you're going to be given a stipend, there's different things that you are eligible for too on the different levels. You're going to hear this word called financial aid. It's a very common word. I'm sure many of you have used it at different points. International students within the United States are not eligible for financial aid, but by the federal government. It's a very big distinction to make. You're going to hear some words like FAFSA, F-A-F-S-A, or CAP are two different grants that are given by the federal government to the students. International students are not eligible for that. But what you are eligible for is scholarships. What that looks like is merit-based, so based on your grades that you present. Some schools have specific international student scholarships, athletic scholarships, and also essay competitions. Additionally, I do highly recommend that you look into what your country offers. Different countries where you are a citizen offer on sometimes scholarship to you for studying internationally. I'll give you an example. Students from Botswana are eligible to apply for a fully funded scholarship through their government, not through the school. But before we figure all of that out, some very quick facts. Dates and deadlines. If you do have to submit an essay, make sure you submit it at the right time. Universities tend to be pretty strict with submitting all of that. Also, you have to have a budget. I like to also say, if your expectation is to apply to a school and expect that all of your expenses, tuition and room and board, everything's fully funded, not a very good expectation to have. You do have to have some money put on board because even if, let's just say, school offers you a full tuition scholarship, you still have to pay for your plane ticket, you still have to pay for your living expenses, you still have to prove funds on the I-20. So let's keep in mind, 1, what our budget is, 2, talk to your admissions team to see what scholarships you have available, and 3, resources. Ask us, College Board, NAFSA, there's also different private and public scholarships that are eligible to you based on the type of student you are and the country that you are.
Okay. I'm going to talk to you about finances while you're in the US, and then Jennifer will talk to you if you are looking at schools in Canada. So first of all, I want to emphasize what Anna told us earlier. F1 students are not eligible to work off campus their first year, and any off-campus work after the first year is has some pretty strict limitations. So if you are going to work on campus, you can work while school's in session. You can work up to 20 hours. The government's very specific, up to 20 hours a week. If you go over 20 hours a week, There are some very strong repercussions, including up to and including being asked to leave the country. So this is it's an extremely important limit, only 20 hours while school is in session. When school is out of session, like at Christmas break or in the summer, you can work up to 40 hours a week on campus. You cannot work off campus unless it is a very specific practical training. So let's talk about these practical trainings. The first is called Curricular Practical Training, or CPT. CPT is and requires you to work in an internship or a practicum, off-campus training, like clinical rotations for teachers or for nurses that are an integral part of your degree. So you would be working somewhere that has something to do with your degree, and you would be getting credit for that work also. So CPT may be a paid position, it may be an unpaid position, but it requires that you have something in your degree that requires you to do that kind of practical training. And you can't work at something that doesn't have something to do with your degree using CPT. You can do CPT part-time or full-time. If you do it full-time, it can limit, if you get a whole year of CPT at full time, then you will not have the other option, which is optional practical training that comes either at the end of your degree or after you've graduated. So optional practical training, OPT, pre-completion means before you finish your degree, and then post-completion is after you finish your degree. So OPT allows you to engage in temporary employment to get practical experience. Post-completion is for 20 hours or more. Pre-completion is for 20 hours or less while you're in school. You can get permission to do pre-completion OPT during the break for more than 20 hours, but as long as you're still taking classes, you can only get work for 20 hours, whether it's on-campus work or OPT. But after you've graduated, you can do OPT for up to 1 year with special permission from the government. This has to be directly related to your students, to your major field of study. For students that have a degree in science, technology, engineering, or mathematics, and there's a specific list, it's a pretty long list of degrees that you can get that are STEM degrees, you can do OPT for up to 3 years. The first year is regular OPT, and the last 2 years, you have a specific training schedule that's set up by the place that you're working for, and you have to make regular reports about your training, but you can serve in that job for 3 years. At the end of your 3 years, what a lot of students do is they go on and do their master's degree, and you can do OPT again, and you can do CPT while you're in your master's degree and do OPT or STEM OPT again after that degree. So you can do it for each degree. So that means that you would be able to get a lot of practical training and experience and make connections. Some students go on to transfer into an H-1B visa after with the organization that they have done their OPT with. That you would have to talk to an immigration lawyer about in your organization, but it is an option long-term. Finally, there is the option in some very specific cases for you to claim severe economic hardship, which would allow you to work off campus more than 20 hours or at least 20 hours if certain things apply, and your DSO would have to apply to the government and get that approved. So you have, for severe economic hardship that would include a loss of financial aid, a loss of on-campus employment without it being your fault, substantial fluctuations in the value of currency. If something happens in your home country and your currency or exchange rate bottoms out, and so you have a sudden need, all of these types of things can make it possible for you to claim severe economic hardship and be able to work off campus in a job that's not related to your degree. So there are ways for you to make money, but I will reiterate what Anna said earlier. These are not going to totally fund you going to school. You're going to have funds of your own. You can't come to the US and work enough hours to pay for school. The 20 hours a week is, you're not going to be paid enough to pay for school that way, but it is a way to supplement what you bring with you. So Jennifer's going to talk to you about how it is in Canada.
Okay, thanks, Lisa. Actually, there are a lot of similarities between the two countries. And so what I can say is that it's so important to build some financial stability before coming to study in Canada. While the documentation has different names, it is very similar in Canada, where when you do apply for a study visa, they are going to ask you to prove that you have a certain level of finances, that you will be able to come and participate. So there are a lot of similarities. But again, like I put on the slide, know before you go. It's so important to do your homework and do your research. I know it's very romantic to think about going overseas and going to school in another country, but there are harsh realities to it. There are so many benefits to studying in a different country, but it's important that you plan for it. So within Canada, there are certain requirements to obtain a study visa, which is what's going to happen if you're going to want to come. And each institute is different. So I speak primarily from Trinity Western's perspective here, because we are a private institution. I know the public institutions may have a few different options. So what's required first is that you would need to determine which institution you would like to apply to, apply following their guidelines of admission. And once admission is accepted, that is when you would receive an acceptance letter that you've been admitted to the university. And that acceptance letter for the Canadian government needs to come from a designated learning institute. And so there are some institutions that don't fall under that. So again, that's about doing your homework and understanding which institutions can provide that letter. You'll see the web link that I've put at the bottom of the slide. This is your go-to for all things studying in Canada. You will find information about, you'll get the list of all the designated learning institutes. On that list, it will link you to those institutions. It will give you their financing options, their scholarship options for international students, and it will also link you to areas on our Canadian government website about how you can prepare for financing your education in Canada. Speaking from Trinity Western's perspective, we have scholarships at our university, and as an international student, you qualify for all the same scholarships that our domestic students qualify for. So you would need to go on to the website and take a look at what those scholarships are, and ask questions, and really be prepared for that. Again, you'll see the costs for housing, the cost for books, all those same costs that my colleagues down in the States have indicated. Those are the same costs you need to expect here in Canada, including healthcare and housing and your own expenses. We also have an opportunity to work on campus. There are opportunities to work in Canada while you're studying. They are also limited in the same way that they are limited in the United States. being on campus versus being off campus. So a lot of those things are very similar. So if you do have any questions, I can't show you strongly enough to take a look at that website. That is where you're going to find all the information. With regards to study visas, we do have a lot of students who contact us and want information on about obtaining those visas. And we as a university, we don't handle that. So that's where students who are working with an agent can utilize working with the agent to do that, or to find yourself through that website and connect with somebody from the Canadian government who can help you through those spots. So that's what I have in terms of financing and attending or being educated in Canada. I can share now a little bit more about Trinity Western as a university.
We have about 4 minutes each to go over our universities.
Okay,
So,
I will zip through. First slide. Oh, next slide. Let's jump right here. We're going to start with the basics. Trinity Western is the largest Canadian or Christian university in Canada. Our main campus is in Langley, BC, and every year we welcome more than 5,000 students from all across Canada, the US, and throughout the world. You'll receive an education that will inspire your mind, give you the practical skills and knowledge, but we also try to inspire your heart. Next slide. We offer the same top-tier degrees as other Canadian universities, but we do so in a unique way with our small class sizes and individual instruction. It really gives an opportunity to know that you receive the very best education possible. We have 44 undergraduate degree programs, everything from sciences, nursing, education, business, arts, pre-med, as well as 19 graduate master's programs. Next slide. Zipping through. So here's the deal. The tuition is the same for domestic and international students. We do not charge you more for coming to the university. This slide particularly is just to show that one of the most unique qualities of Trinity is our warm, welcoming community. You ask any current student and they will tell you inevitably one of the top things that they appreciate about our university is the community and the fun that we can have with students and faculty. It really sets us apart. Next slide. Now, because we're a private university, our tuition costs more than your regular public university. Fortunately, we have a robust financial aid and awards program. And last year, we gave away more than $8 million to new and current students. This includes academic scholarships, which are based on your grades, as well as financial need scholarships. More than 97% of our students receive financial aid to cover tuition costs. So if Trinity is where you want to be, we can work with you to help you and your family figure out the financial side of things. Next slide. The best way to connect with Trinity Western is allow us to bring Trinity to you. And come, this website here, this link will allow you to visit virtually. We have a number of opportunities to come to campus and get a tour of campus in real time. So you can go down to this twu.ca/visit and come see the campus. Next slide. This is where you would go to apply. Once you apply, then we can let you know what sort of financial support that you would qualify for, and we would link you with an enrollment advisor who would work with you. So that's it for my information. My last slide just gives you the mission of Trinity Western to develop godly Christian leaders who serve God and people in the various marketplaces of life. So thanks so much, and I pass it off to my next colleague.
Anna.
All right, everyone, we're going to breeze through St. Francis for a little bit. We're St. Francis College for Franciscan-based university, which means that in order to soar for higher power, we believe by serving ourselves and serving community. We want you to dream, we want you to serve, we want you to achieve. We're located in downtown Brooklyn, for those of you who are not familiar with New York. Think of Times Square. We're not that. We're very close to Times Square, but what the perks of being in Brooklyn is that you're close to nature, You're close to the environment, but additionally, you're very, very close to the city. You truly have the best of both worlds. Next slide, please. Some quick facts about our school. We have over 70 undergraduate majors and honors program, 4 graduate degree programs, and our international student population fluxes between 260 to 280 international student, and it's growing every year, where 72 countries are represented, and we're also a very small private school. Truly, when you walk into the building, people know you by name, to the point where if you walk in with coffee one day and you forget it the next, they will question you about it. We like to make sure that you know that you are going to be in small classroom sizes, and if you are a student that's interested in sports, we have 21 NCAA Division I sports teams, meaning that we compete at the highest athletic level at the university. Next slide, please. So, another fun fact, we're moving. We're going to be in the same neighborhood, but truly we're moving about 2 blocks over. We're going to be in a new building called the Wheeler Building. So for incoming students, you have to look forward to a brand new building and brand new facilities where it's custom designed for our student body. We're reimagining what our school looks like to better serve our institution, therefore making it a better environment for you to learn, to feel comfortable with, and it's something that I truly am excited for, as well as our residence halls is completely renovated. This is, I want to say, the 2nd year that we've had students living in it since the brand new renovation. So we have new facilities that are ready for you to take advantage of. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to go straight into scholarships because I know that's what the majority of you in this financing your education meeting want to learn about. The way that we function with scholarship for St. Francis College is immediately upon acceptance, you receive scholarship. It is merit-based, so based on what your high school and or college grades, if you are a transfer student coming in, are applying to. These are all scholarships that are offered at the undergraduate level that are immediately applied to your application, into your profile, when I send you an acceptance letter, which hopefully I do get to send you in the future. What this looks like is scholarships either in a 9,000, 10,000, or 11,000 level. And additionally, we do something called our 5-in-1 package. That includes tuition, room, meals, insurance. And then we also have thrown inside of there some personal expenses thrown in for a student who is a B and below, about $39,000 a year, which includes everything that you need to do to live into New York in one neat package. Next slide, please. For an A student, it's the same exact thing. If you do choose to not take advantage of our Allin Package, it's a scholarship of $10,000. If you do decide to take advantage of that, it's $38,000 per year. Next slide, please. And additionally, if you're somebody who's looking in economics, accounting, finance, or information technology, those are kind of our highlight programs at the school, where not only will you get an amazing education, but you have fantastic, fantastic resources to do internships, post-work opportunities, and essentially take advantage of all that New York has to offer. We do offer our Allin Package for $37,500 a year, where you also, if you decide not to, live in our campus and take advantage of that, over 40% in scholarship off. So those are some things if you're looking to do a STEM related field. Guess what? You get to study here, apply for 3 years of OPT, and we're going to give you the top rate package. So if you're somebody that's interested in that degree, let us know. We would love to have you. Next slide, please. And some admissions requirements. How do we get into the school? We try to make it simple. Our application is free. It doesn't cost anything to apply. If you are interested, submit an application. It's a great way to stay in touch. We require translated and evaluated transcripts, which means it has to be in English, additionally into a US point system, but we do have some flexibility with that, as well as proof of English proficiency. I just gotta know that you speak English, so I know that you can succeed at the college level. And our TOEFL, IELTS, and Duolingo scores are listed. We also accept certifications from other English programs, or if you come from an English school. Next slide. And to wrap it all off, some contact information. If you do need me, once again, my name is Anna Luisa Teodoro. I'm the International Recruitment Specialist at St. Francis. Feel free to email me. I don't sleep anyway. I love to answer your questions. So please do send us a message. And with that, I'm going to pass it off.
Thank you, Anna. So I want to tell you a little bit about East Texas Baptist University. This building is actually our oldest building on campus. It was built in 1915, 3 years after the school started. We are located in Marshall, Texas, in the piney woods of East Texas. Our mascot is the tiger, and we have about 1,700 students, undergraduate and graduate. Average class size is about 20. So a lot of times, especially in your majors, you're going to have a very small class, which means you get to know your professors. Student to faculty ratio is 15:1, and 90% of our full-time faculty members have their terminal degree, which means they have the highest degree that's available in their field. I will tell you that also all of our classes are taught by our professors. We don't have teaching assistants or other people teaching them. It's just the professors. And our professors' doors are open for you to meet with them at any time. Since we're a small campus and a Christian university, as Jennifer and Anna's universities are, we highly value getting to know our students, and we have long-term relationships with our students that last way past when they graduate. And one of the reasons is because we have so many faculty and so few students that we can really get to know our students and do life with them. We have over 40 undergraduate degrees, 9 pre-professional degrees that get you ready for their pre-med, pre-dentistry, pre-pharmacology, and we have a nursing degree that is the top-rated nursing degree in Texas. And then we have 14 graduate degrees. Some of those are online and some of them are face-to-face. The online degrees you'll be able to do from home, and then the face-to-face degrees you would get a visa and come to campus and live on campus. We have over 30% of our students are the first person ever in their family that has gone to college. So we have a lot of safety nets in place to make sure that we are there to help our students. We have an academic center for excellence, our academic success office, and we have free tutoring in every subject, either from the professor or from a upper level student, and we offer accommodations and other training for students so that you can succeed. Everything that we do is to help you get through school and be successful. We do offer graduate and career services to help you find positions. We have an honors program, and we have extensive list of internships depending on your degree. We have a really robust campus life with over 40 different student organizations. Some of them are listed here. You can find the rest on our website. We have 17 NCAA athletic teams and 5 club sports, including bass fishing, cheer, ice hockey. Yes, we have ice hockey in Texas, and lacrosse and pom, which is a type of cheerleading. But we have football and soccer and softball. Our softball team has been nationally ranked a number of times over the last 10 years. The same with our baseball team. So we would love to have you come and be one of our athletes. When we look at how you go through the admissions process, there's an application for international admissions. There's a $50 application fee, but if you mention that you were at this session or at it if you were here for the day, we will waive the application fee. You'll have to give us official transcripts, and if they're from an international institution, we'll get those evaluated for you. Just like Anna said, we have to prove that you can speak English well enough to be successful. So you have to have an IELTS or TOEFL score. For TOEFL, it's 60 or 61, and for IELTS, it's 6.1. So it's not a very high level, but we will do what we can to make sure that you are successful. And then the rest is regular housing and health forms and the things that the students have to do, and the certification of finance that Anna talked about earlier today. This is our tuition for the current year. Gives you an idea of how much it might cost for you to come. We have block tuition, so you pay one price for 12 to 18 hours, anywhere between 12 and 18 hours. So if you're a really good student and you take 18 hours in a semester, you also get 2 free mini terms. That's where you get to take a whole class in 1 week, get 3 hours of credit. You could get up to 24 hours of credit in a semester, depending what type of student you are, and finish in 3 years instead of 4. So you save a whole year's worth of tuition and room and board. We also offer all of our international students at the undergrad level a $15,000 scholarship. So the fees that you saw earlier were without the scholarship taken out. So you can see that it can significantly reduce your costs with that $15,000 scholarship. That scholarship goes to all international undergrads. You don't have to qualify for that. And my contact information is here. Thank you so much for all that you've done and listened to with us. We're glad that you joined us today.
Thank you, everyone. This was really insightful, and I'm sure that everyone who came out got all the information they were looking for. So thank you again. And if you have any more questions for any of our speakers here, you can check them out in the exhibit hall. They'll be here for the rest of the day.
That's right.
Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.